We are live, we are live, we are live. Welcome back to Talk Live, my people. I am back. Yes, I am back. Back again with another show. Goddamn stuff in my eye all of a sudden. And we're back and we're live, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live, live on IG and YouTube. Yes, indeed. Soon to be on TikTok. Don't worry, it's coming. It's coming. It's coming. How are y'all doing? I hope you're enjoying your summer. I am. I definitely am. As you know, I've been absent for the last few weeks, or I've been very, yes. Yes, I've been doing many things during this period of time, including playing in Caravana, also enjoying the party scene and such and such and such, just enjoying the summer, really. But again, I knew that I had to get back down to business, and as the days and months roll on into the fall and winter months, Talk Live will be on a more regular schedule. So thank you very much for being patient with me, and thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live tonight. Hope all is well with you, and sponsored by Duntalk, DUNTALK.com. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Thank you very much for all the love I'm getting on TikTok. Thank you very much for all the love I'm getting on Instagram. My goodness, the word is getting around. The word is getting around, and I only have you to thank. So again, if you can like and subscribe for me, greatly appreciate it. So let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. While I still have this good Psycho Bunny polo on right now. So again, I do love the Psycho Bunny anyways. But again, it is sponsored by Duntalk, DUNTALK.com. Like, subscribe, comment on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. Yes, you know I had to come back with a banger. You know I had to come back with a bit more controversy. You know I had to come back with the heat. The heat on the street. And quite simply, this show is all about a lady who says it and calls it like it is, from Germany, named Suerreyya Brooks. Now, Suerreyya is a native Turkish lady, and she married an American black man. And she had a few things to say about Western women that, since she was married to a black man, a lot of black women took offense to. Very, very much so. They took it as an affront on their humanity and didn't take in the lesson. They only took in the fact that she was white and that they should, that she should mind her business and stay out of business that is not hers, quite simply. When she was only trying to teach, she was only trying to learn. But we're going to learn about all that tonight on Talk Live as we get back live here on IG and on YouTube. Bang. And we're going to get into this right now. So let's get into it, ladies and gentlemen. We're going to switch into the browser. Switch into the browser like that. Bang. And, of course, I have to go. So there we go. So we have a few videos to go through. But the first thing we're going to get into is this video by the one Chisa Zed. Subscribe to Chisa Zed. He's doing wonderful things on YouTube streets. He's actually doing bang up business on these YouTube streets. Again, he's on 300,000 subscribers. So, but please go and subscribe to him. He's doing wonderful work. He's doing fabulous things, and he's breaking down this whole controversy. And then we're going to get into the granular knowledge of Suerreyya Brooks. There we go. And we're going to get into this right now, ladies and gentlemen. And no waiting, absolutely. And we're going to go into the widescreen here. And we're going to get into this with Suerreyya Brooks and how she breaks down Western women and how they are losing the battle for Western men, including black men in particular. So let's get into this right now. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live.
YouTuber Suerreyya Brooks, whose controversial video exploded in virality after she made some very bold claims about how there was simply no competition when it came to dating and pursuing her preference in men, black men. A video that was accompanied by the caption, "German woman says black women are no competition. It's easy because there's no family unit," slowly but surely began to grab the attention of millions.
I don't give a how many valid points that German woman had or if she was right or wrong. She don't get a chance to speak on black women, black love, black marriages, and black anything. And I ran for...
Okay, so you see, that's where we start, ladies and gentlemen. Black women don't like to be told that they're how to operate with their black men. They would dismiss it outright. As is seen here. She may be right, but they don't want to hear it. You see what I'm saying? Let's continue.
For black men. You understand what I'm saying?
If a German man that was married to a black woman would have got on this internet and said black men don't treat black women right and black men need to treat black women better, do you think the sisters would have told that man to mind his business? Or do y'all think they would have been praising him?
Suerreyya Brooks made a few key points that were highly controversial and upset many people who disagreed with some of the statements she made. In the viral video, she emphasized that she stood out to her husband, who is black, because of her calm, respectful, and nurturing demeanor, which contrasted the behavior he was used to from other women. She also noted that her husband's family lacked a strong family unit and criticized many American women as being lost and living in a delusional world, leading to potential lifelong loneliness.
I already knew I had him because there was simply no competition out there for me. But let's just look at it objectively. You had this average Black American guy. He really didn't know how to deal with my femininity because I was not loud. I was not screaming. I was not trying to, be louder than him. I didn't interrupt him because that's not something that I learned from home. So gentlemen, do not be afraid of traveling. There are so many more women out there who are willing to take care of you. You don't have to deal with whatever you are dealing with back in your hometown because unfortunately a lot of American women are lost in the delusional world that they are living in, and they don't even understand that they are going to be lonely for a long time.
Suerreyya Brooks.
Bang! Stop right there. She said a lot in such a short period of time, ladies and gentlemen. Let's break it down. Was she telling lies? In my estimation, no. So here's what she said. She literally laid it out on a table that there's no competition for her in terms of finding a man that she wants, which is a black man, because she came from a home in which men were catered to rather than seeing men as being the enemy. A case in point, my girlfriend right now. Very, very typical of Suerreyya. Very, very typical. Listens to her man, take notes to her man, does not dismiss him, does not feel that she is superior to him. And she came from such a background, and she knew how to cater to a man's ego and also to his sensibilities. And with that came the point where she said, you know what, black men, you can find a girl like me only if you travel around. You get out of your surroundings. And if you become a passport bro, as we have said already here. Black men don't realize, and it's been said time and time again, how valuable they are, not in their own confines, not within their own environs, but throughout the world, including in Eastern Europe, where there's a lack of black men around. The black male bravado and motif thrives, and a lot of women outside of the African diaspora race love black men. I've lived in Europe. I've seen it myself. If you go to England, if you go to Germany, if you go to France, if you go to Holland, if you go to Italy, if you go to if you go to Greece, if you go to any Western European state, hell, if you even go further east, if you go to Thailand, if you go to Vietnam, sorry, I say Laos. Laos. It's not Vietnam anymore. If you go to Thailand, if you go to Philippines, if you go to any of these different places, black men are celebrated. They are celebrated. And I proved that here ad litem here on Talk Live. Now, this is not a space where, again, we push passport bros, but we recognize it. We recognize that thing. We recognize that it is indeed the case. Because there are so many women out there who are only willing to be wives to black men. It's true. And it's very, very rare that you get a fit, feminine, friendly, submissive, and fit, feminine, friendly, cooperative, submissive woman here in North America. It just doesn't happen. And the fact of the matter is these women can't travel outside because their attitudes aren't tolerated. They just aren't. So black men thrive where black women tend not to be. And unfortunately, that's the reason for black women being the least married and most divorced. You see, but let's continue with this.
First visited the U.S. in 2001. Although she would only spend a few years in the United States, she experienced a culture shock when she saw how differently Turkish women treat their men compared to Western women.
There is a lot going on in America. As I said, I lived there for 2 years. I have seen a lot of crap And just looking inside of those households as a traditional Turkish woman, I was shocked. I was shocked at the fact how much disrespect an American man would have to take from a woman, how lazy some women are. Again, I'm not saying all women, but a lot of them, and how entitled some of them are.
Remember how I said
that came from a German woman who can be considered Western, to be fair. Her upbringing, her traditional Turkish upbringing, was shocked at the way black men, especially within the African diaspora, especially in the Western world, were treated by their women as second-class citizens. And unless you had a certain amount of money, unless you had a certain type of job, unless you had a certain type of bravado and cool factor, unless you were witty enough, smart enough, charming enough, strong enough, then you would be considered invisible, actually ridiculed. There's a difference between ridicule and invisibility. Where white women would not see you, black women would ridicule you. That's the key point. And she was never one for that. She was always attracted to black men. She said, "I found my niche. I can easily get a black man from my upbringing, from the way I view men in my world, and how I was fit, feminine, friendly, cooperative, submissive. So therefore, I got the inside track." And she said herself, black women are no competition to her. She has a black man herself, so guess what? She's right. Let's continue.
caption of her viral video read, "German woman says black women are no competition. It's easy because there's no family unit." Well, she never explicitly mentioned black women as the women she was contrasting herself to in her viral video. And you might wonder who wrote the caption. Well, we'll get to that later. Even though she never mentioned black women specifically, I do want to point out that in an extended version of that same video, she did share that when she met her husband, one of the challenges she faced was a previous fling that her husband was getting over, who wanted to beat her up because she didn't like the fact that a white girl was pursuing a black man. In her words. Regardless, I do personally believe that her video wasn't specifically meant to target black women, but was meant for Western modern women in general. Suerreyya encouraging men to find wives overseas isn't a new concept. There's a growing trend of more men going overseas to date and marry women in other countries. The Good Men Project released an article in 2022 with the headline, "American Men are no longer interested in American women. The dating wars are on." The article highlights a shift in dating preferences, suggesting a decline in American men's interest in American women, signaling potential changes in dating dynamics and preferences within the American populace. A lot of people...
Stop there for a second, my man Chisa. Let's break that down a bit further in the sense of, you see, I think if you come from a two-parent household, I think there is still a chance for you to make it in this world. My girlfriend came from a two-parent household, and I think we get along better because her father is a huge part of her life, and she listens and understands and wants to please her father. So therefore, she automatically wants to treat her man well. And that's the thing that, most women in the Western world don't get, is the fact that a man is to be celebrated, not vilified. He's and not to be treated as second-class citizens. Because again, part of being within a committed relationship is the fact that your children will thrive, you build generational wealth, and you can make it better for not only your family, but for your community. But, and we'll get to it a little later, how much of an effect having a man in the home or in the community makes on all children. That'll happen later in this portion of the show. But again, it's quite simply humbling to hear that a German woman is being, well, she was harshly treated by black women she's harshly treated by black women. That's really a sad part in the sense that she wanted to teach Western women. However, due to the fact that she was married to a black man, she thought that black women took affront to it and said that and took the idea that German women are no competition, and combined that with black women to say that German women are no competition with black women, and put that together in one space, and that was never the case. She wanted to school Western women and not just black women. However, since she's married to a black man, so be it. That's exactly what there's a causal link to these certain things, even though it is of a negative variety, and it was never intended to be that way. So we are at a crossroads, people, where, as you saw by the last report, things are changing. More disposable income is starting to be used to travel to find these certain women, or men are vetting their women that much more so that they can find out if indeed their potential mate is made of sterner stuff, is made of better stock, and they're not going to go into things blindly or through the use of their loins. So let's continue.
People know this movement as passport bros.
So why are you into black men now? Tell me why.
I don't know. I think they have like charisma and things, but I have good experience with them, and I don't know, I have a lot of fun with them.
What's the difference between American culture with regard to relationships and Turkish culture or culture where you're from?
So over here it's the same thing. It's very modern. It's very Western.
And we're going to get into this portion of the video a lot deeper, people, so hold tight.
The mindset of a lot of women is very similar to what you would experience in America, but it's not as severe. You don't have women running around celebrating their body count. You don't have women here openly sitting down talking about their sexual preferences. All that is kind of being held in the background. And as far as the Turkish community, we take pride in contributing to the household. Like, you would never see us putting a man down, especially not publicly. We wouldn't do that.
It's no surprise that modern feminism and the Western sex-obsessed culture is slowly...
And how refreshing is that? That your man is not ridiculed or put down in public. I have a question from Lana. Would you say this widening of the dating pool is more or less advantageous to both Canadian men and women? I would say it's more of an advantage to the men than the women, because the men are traveling. I mean, women already come with this feminist mindset to a certain extent. Some women are very are more traditional. But a lot of women come into the things with a feminist mindset where I have a good job, I have a great career, I have certain standards that need to be met. That usually doesn't travel well into, different spaces such as Asia, such as Eastern European, such as even Western European, even South American, where women are taught to be, helpmates. They're taught to be women of certain stuff, of greater substance, and women who will help their man get towards their goals, but yet be, fit, feminine, friendly, cooperative, submissive. Be that foundation for that men want to come home to, build a family with, and be the nurturers of their children. So the dating pool is widening for men because men still want to still want those traditional qualities in women, and there are women outside of those of the Western world, traditional world, to find them. However, women are coming in with a more feminist mindset of, I have this career, I have this money, I have these certain requirements of my man. I'm going to go outside and find that. However, they're not traditional women in and of themselves. They won't do the cooking and cleaning. They won't. They'll easily debate certain men, and that can be a problem in terms of their attitudes traveling out. So men's attitudes travel out. Certain women's attitudes don't, to a certain extent, because unless the women, want to pay for their men to live in the United States. However, they'll expect their men to protect, provide, and keep pace with them, unless there's aesthetics to these certain things, and then things tend to balance out, and you know what I mean by that. I don't have to explain that really, but I hope that answers your question. But let's continue. Thank you very much, Lana.
Spreading to all corners of the earth. However, what was surprising was not only did people react to her viral video, but a lot of black women actually agreed with her.
That German woman did not lie when she was talking about us black women. She ain't lie at all. I seen a lot of people, they was mad. Like, they was mad at her. And it's like, why are you mad? If you're mad, that means there's some things you need to correct in yourself. Hey, I even took one little thing that she said. I was like, I do need to eat that up right there, because I don't be doing that. But everything else, I be doing for my man, period. 10 toes down, I do those things. But a lot of black women do not value men. A lot of women, period, in America don't value men. And that's the problem. We don't value men, and we can't keep making the excuse of, oh, my upbringing, I was brought up like this or like that, and that's why X, Y, and Z.
This commenter said in response to her video, Kevin Samuels Bin said this. It took a German lady to get the point across for some. Another person added, most don't want a relationship.
Let that sink in, ladies and gentlemen. Kevin was saying that for years. Yes, the Godfather himself was saying that for a few years, and they danced on his grave. Black women danced on their graves. They could not wait for him to die. The only thing is, he became a pseudo-martyr. And now what? Now he'll never be forgotten. Now this attitude will continue because of the way that you treated Kevin in his hour of passing. And the lady said it herself. This German, Miss Suerreyya Brooks, wasn't telling a lie. The German woman wasn't telling a lie. She was telling the truth. It's just that black women, it's hard to hear for them, so they'll dismiss it. It's hard to hear, so therefore, instead of taking the lesson, as Kevin always said, if 2 plus 2 is 2, if 2 plus 2 is 2, sorry. If 2 plus 2 is 4, and 2 plus effing 2 is 4, it still comes out to be the same result. Just because you said effing in that part, they will disregard the equation. They'll disregard the message. Just because it came in the guise of a German woman doesn't mean it means that they'll disregard the message. That's the problem. Sometimes you got to take the message from where it comes from and learn from it. But in this instance, black women see that as an affront to their femininity. Especially Western black women. This is not all black women. Let me assure you that. African women behave very, very submissively. Very, very much like the Turkish lady here. Traditional women, very, very submissive. Those who live with fathers, they tend to be submissive. Of course, they could be in the Western world and they can have certain, feministic views. However, they tend to listen to men, and including this woman here, who has just praised her for what she did, because I'm sure there's a strong male image, a strong male role model in her life to say these things. Yeah.
They want a sponsorship, which is followed by another comment that says, they're going to come for you, but you're speaking truth. And another woman teasing her saying, I hope you get picked. And someone responded back to that chick and said, it's crazy, you proving her point. LOL.
That German woman did not lie. She did, and I'm sorry. I'm going to have to tell you from black woman to black woman, that woman did not tell one. And this is coming from a person who's been through DV, got out of DV, now is married to a great black man. A good man, you heard me? She did not tell no lie. Black women do not know how to appreciate their man. They do not know how to be submissive to that man. They do not recognize when they have a good man. This is not no love and hip hop shit. I done seen it in real life, firsthand. When a woman has a good man, they still find a way to demean him. Me and my husband is not perfect. We'll never claim to be perfect. Yeah, we still have arguments, but at the end of the day, the core Success to our relationship is respect when he come home, the house is clean. Do I cook 7 days a week? No. I'm a wife, not a slave, not a maid. He do not have cooked meals 7 days a week. No. 5 days out of 7, he has cooked meals. I make sure he good. I fold his clothes. I don't wash them. I make his life as easy as possible. Why you make eggs? Because he pours in where he know if I'm good and I'm straight and I'm the head of my household, and a direct result of that, my wife gonna make sure I'm straight. Y'all don't know how to talk to these black men. Y'all don't know how to treat these black men.
Someone responded back to this woman.
Excellent points made by this woman. I don't believe that happened, but here we go. There we go. But again, she's saying exactly what needs to be said. Yes, okay. Now you can see in this instance there's a bit of pushback. You can see that that's obvious. However, for the most part, she is submissive. She cooks for her man, she cleans for her man, knowing that the man is going to protect and provide. Now she doesn't wash for him, which is a bit more pushback. How, as she said, she's a wife, not a slave. So there's a bit of pushback there. But for the most part, she does respect her man, and she does understand where he's coming from. I mean, a few tweaks here and there, and she'd be perfect. However, you know what? It is what it is. She grew up in an environment she grew up in, but at least she admits that Suerreyya is speaking sense. Absolute sense. Let's continue.
On it back and says, it's a lot of people mad at me in the comments, but that's okay with me. They feel attacked and I understand. Another chick added to the conversation and said, this is very important. Preach. Which is followed by another comment that says, y'all definitely missing the point, but I hear you, sis.
Not all black men deserve their love. Not all black men deserve your feminine energy. Baby, you got to recognize when you have a good man, you have to nurture that relationship. I stress that to y'all. That German woman was not wrong.
I do think that it's worth noting that it seems like most women who agree with the Turkish woman are mostly married. The truth is, Suerreyya Brooks echoes the sentiments of many men and women in the West who are tired of woke culture and value family, present fathers, and nurturing wives. Contrary to popular belief, there's a growing population of black women who realize they've been brainwashed by mainstream media to believe that all men are trash and useless. Many of these women are married, plan to get married, and embrace a traditional marriage. And the best part is they drink coffee.
Drink the coffee, it'll make you feel better.
These black women respect the men in their lives. They understand what men value and aim to provide their children with two-parent households. The terrifying impact of single-parent...
Stop there for a second. You see, there's going to be a cull of black women going on here. And women, Western women in general, who believe this feminist ideology of men being trash and the world not needing men and basically they can be single, independent, not need a man and be on their own. There will be a call where a lot of these ladies, especially by 2030, you'll see those who believe in the ideology of a man being the head of household and being fit, feminine, friendly, cooperative, submissive, and adhering to the tenets of what makes a family unit a successful family unit, a successful family unit. And they'll be the ones who are thriving, especially in this economy. To those who do not listen, there will be a cost. And I guarantee you that. Those are the ones who will be single. Those are the ones who will be struggling. Those are the ones who will be regretting their decisions. It's a guarantee. It's just waiting to happen. They'll realize there's a reason why, as I said again, black women are the least married and the most divorced, because they're the last to listen to sense. They're the last to listen to this message. The very last ones. Listen, there are many women in this in Western society who adhere to the same tenets, the same message of being single, independent, don't need a man. They truly, truly do. And to all these women, there will come to a point, a day of reckoning, when they realize that, oh, my 3 pillars of youth, beauty, fertility, 2 of them are gone. I have to have things on my own. and things are only going to get rougher from here, see Ebony K. Williams. See Amber Rose. See them all. All those women who are in their 40s and into their 50s and still single, those are the ones who didn't know the message. Didn't hear it. They didn't want to hear it. Because either their bread is buttered in some way, shape, or form, or they thought that they can have the same attitude and run a relationship. And that's not the case. Men are just checking out in droves, and women are not understanding why. But they will. One of those nights when there's a bump in the dark, and they realize that, oh, police can't come fast enough. Where is my man? Let's continue.
Households is the title of a podcast produced by Chris Williamson featuring economist Professor Melissa Kearney. Melissa Kearney is the author of Two-Parent Advantage: How Americans Stopped Getting Married and Started Falling Behind. Listen to what she says about the most significant predictor that a black boy climbs the economic ladder into adulthood.
There's another study that came out of the Opportunity Insights Lab at Harvard. This is the lab run by Raj Chetty and colleagues that has access to millions of tax records, so they know exactly where kids grew up, and then they follow them into adulthood. The single biggest predictor of whether a black boy sort of climbs the economic ladder into adulthood at a neighborhood level. So what neighborhood characteristics are most predictive of economically good outcomes for black boys?
Can I guess?
Go ahead.
The proportion of single fathers.
The presence of black dads in the neighborhood.
Yep.
So beyond just having a dad in your house, if there's a bunch of, if the households around you, black households around you also have dads, single biggest predictor of whether you do well economically in adulthood. And
I want you to let that sink in. To those men you consider second-class citizens, to those men that you don't need, to those men who only serve one purpose, that is to aggrandize your purses, I want you to listen to what he just said right there. Just listen to it. In fact, I'll roll that back again because y'all didn't hear it. I really don't think you really took it in. Let's go one more time so that you can get the gist of it.
Opportunity Insights Lab at Harvard. This is the lab run by Raj Chetty and colleagues that has
It's a Harvard study. Listen in.
Tax records, so they know exactly where kids grew up, and then they follow them into adulthood. The single biggest predictor of whether a black boy sort of climbs the economic ladder into adulthood at a neighborhood level. So what neighborhood characteristics are most predictive of economically good outcomes for black boys?
Can I guess?
Go ahead.
The proportion of single fathers.
The presence of black dads in the neighborhood.
Yep.
So beyond just having a dad in your house, if there's a bunch of, if the households around you, black households around you also have dads, single biggest predictor of whether you do well economically in adulthood. And so there again, who's being helped by us denying that black boys in particular, as if like all of the discrimination we know they face, all of these other barriers, like those boys are being harmed by not having dads around. And so this gets back to the intergenerational nature of this. The more boys we have growing up without dads in their house, the less likely they are to sort of thrive and be their best selves when they grow up.
Based on that study alone, it's obvious.
Right there. That is important, that is powerful, that is poignant. If you don't have black male role models around your children, guess what's going to happen to those black boys? If you don't have male role models in any any family situation, if it's just women, for instance. Not to say that these black boys won't do well themselves, but there's a high chance they won't. There's a very high chance they won't. Let me say this. I'm one of the last generation of black men whose black fathers grew up in the home. I've earned a pretty good life for myself. You wonder why? I still keep contact with my father. You wonder how I succeeded. Now, again, there's a mother there, of course, but there needs to be a male role model around, a successful one, so that children, especially boys, get a great start in life. I won't let you know the amount of baby mamas that I know in my life and who have traipsed in and around me over time. But after a while, I start realizing this. And they came from single, independent women who bought into the feminist trope. And yet all these boys seem to be satelliting around me like this. And lo and behold, it's because there was no man in the room, in the area. I'll have you know that within my family, I was praised for being in the home for their children. So that their sons realize what a good, upstanding black man was. There are a few baby mamas who, as I said before, have orbited me. And I know why. So that they can see a fully functioning black male adult. And it's sad. Because all of this could have been alleviated if our women, and especially Western women in general, were just a little bit submissive. Instead of thinking that they knew it all. All this could be eliminated. But again, we grew up in a generation where women saw they could do no wrong. And unfortunately, they are left to suffer the consequences, especially as time goes on. The more independent they sound, the more masculine they are, the more aggressive they be, the more toxic they become. Guess what? The more alone they shall remain.
That continuing the cycle of fatherless homes, especially in the black community, is being extremely negligent about the future of your children. Despite all the women that agreed with Suerreyya Brooks' video, the backlash and anger she was facing was strong. Many women began to think she had something against black women in specific. This eventually led to her releasing another video clarifying her statements and some misconceptions people were making about her.
Black American women are no competition, and that's how I got my man. That is what a lot of people think I said in one of my YouTube videos, which is going viral on all social media platforms at this moment. I mean, TikTok, X, YouTube, Instagram, whatever platform you're looking for, you will see my face with that caption on that video. And you cannot imagine, the shitstorm from certain women is like a really bad case of diarrhea right now. Ladies and gentlemen, that was a snippet out of a whole YouTube video where I was talking about how my basic daily activities have impressed and impacted my husband's daily routine. I mean, it is just what it is. And you know what? A lot of women out there should apply that knowledge that I'm trying to give to you for free. Tell me, where did you hear me?
She's literally telling you, sorry, don't want to shout. She's giving you game, ladies. She's giving you game. And because the game comes in a different skin color towards yourself, you'll dismiss it. That's like giving somebody $1 million, and because it came from a white man's hands, it's tainted. It can't be used. I can't touch the stuff. That's the insane part. If you're a little more submissive, if you're a little more cooperative, if you're a little more feminine and friendly, if you're a little more fit, you would be covered. But they don't want to hear it when the professor that's teaching them comes in a different shade. And a lighter shade at that. Shame, 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 shame. But it's all right, because she'll teach another set of women that comes outside of the skin color, and guess what they're going to do? They're going to take that knowledge to heart, and they're going to go out and win. While you stay alone and lose. They're going to go out and win, while you stay at home and lose. Stunning, isn't it?
Say that Black American women are no competition. I was not even talking about Black American women in particular. I never said anything like that I am better than them. I never said anything like I have better qualities than a Black American woman. No, I'm always talking about modern Western women in general. And by the way, a huge shout out and thank you to everyone who was listening with their ears instead of using their emotions, because when you compare the caption of the video that I didn't even put on the video to the words that were coming out of my mouth, the caption had nothing to do with the words that I was saying.
She's right. She didn't write.
She is right. She was talking to Western women, not black women. But because she was dating a black, as I said, by osmosis, because she married a black man, she thought she was talking about black women, and black women got in their feelings. Ta-da! Those women jumped to conclusions, and you know why she went viral. You know why she went viral. Because a woman of a different shade who tried to teach Western women how to act with their men, no. It's because you married a black man, therefore we must hate you because you were trying to teach Western women, but yet you were teaching us. Did that make sense? You were trying to teach Western women, but then you married a black man, so therefore you were teaching us. You were trying to browbeat us and how we treat our men, so therefore we must hate you. Even though you're giving us game. Make that make sense. In the words of Kevin Samuels, you can't make that shit up.
Write the caption for the video that went viral and was seen by millions. Her original video was released on YouTube on October 27th, 2023, but it only went viral once someone reposted it with the updated caption. Suerreyya went further to clarify that she has no problem with black women and simply shares her contrasting values with many modern women in the West. I'll be honest, even though she meant Western women in general, I'll be willing to bet all my money most of the women who disagree with her video would still probably fall under that modern Western woman category. Though Suerreyya Brooks made some corrections to assumptions about her video, she did, however, remain firm in her stance on Turkish women versus Western women.
But as I stand here today, I will say that a traditional Turkish woman most definitely has no competition compared to the modern Western woman.
No matter your opinion on this topic, you can't deny the fact that men in the West have been very honest and vocal about what exactly they value when it comes to marriage and relationships. They've been very loud about this for the past few years. And if you value a nurturing feminine woman and you find a woman who also shares those values, then can you really blame any man for choosing to go where he's valued? Listen, guys, as always, I'm curious to know what you think.
You cannot blame them at all. Let's roll on. Thank you very much, Achisa. That was a surface look. That was a sort of a summary look at Suerreyya Brooks and how, indeed, Turkish women are no competition to Western women. And she's right. But let's get into the discussion right here. And it's a fascinating discussion here with Suerreyya Brooks and with, this was on the Anton Daniels page. Yes, Anton Daniels doing wonderful things in YouTube streets. An absolutely erudite man from Detroit. Shout out to Anton Daniels. Gave an exclusive interview with Suerreyya Brooks. And it's very, very eye-opening. And I want to get into this right now. And then we're going to move on to different things. But again, it is so enlightening to hear how this Turkish woman is winning. And it's just certain simple truths, but that certain mindsets can't get their heads around. The Kamala Harris is amongst us. Let's continue with that. Yes, the title of the podcast was "German Woman Says American Black Girls Are No Competition. Suerreyya Brooks Addresses Dating Black Men." Now, this is getting a little more in depth because, again, Suerreyya Brooks was married to a black man herself, as was stated in the Chisha Zed interview and in the expose, the YouTube expose there. So let's get into into a very involved conversation. I'll let it run for a few minutes and let you hear what she has to say herself. Fair use.
From your perspective or your experiences, what's the difference between American culture with regard to relationships and culture and Turkish culture or culture where you're from?
I mean, no offense, but I really had a hard time seeing a culture in America. I really haven't seen, because, there's just so much diversity. When you got the Chinese community, they got their tradition. You got the Hispanics, they go with their tradition. But as far as everybody else, I really didn't see that. And me coming from a traditional Turkish household, of course, we come from Turkey. My parents came to Germany in the late 70s. So they came into a very westernized world. Women over here, it was kind of always also on that topic as far as, women are independent, when they work or whatever, they're going to be superior to the men. But for my parents, it was always very important to keep certain traditional values within our household, and we continue to practice them, So over here, it's the same thing. It's very modern, it's very westernized, and the mindset of a lot of women is very similar to what you would experience in America, but it's not as severe. You don't have women running around celebrating their body count. You don't have women here openly sitting down talking about their sexual preferences, all that is kind of being held in the background. And as far as the Turkish community, we take pride in contributing to the household. Like, you would never see us putting a man down, especially not publicly. We wouldn't do that. If there's any type of beef going on, it would be settled and handled within the four walls of our home, And of course, you have families where the woman made more money than the man and have her degree, and maybe he doesn't. And all that is being left at the door the moment they come inside. So the respect is always towards the man of the household. But I hadn't really experienced that in America when I was there. It was...
Excellent points made there by Suerreyya. She came from a traditional home. She came from a traditional family. But let me say this. It's not just within Turkish communities. It can be within Chinese communities. It could be within Indian communities. It could be within South American communities, Eastern European communities, Asian communities. Yes, these places are found, especially when these women move towards the West. However, if a woman is totally immersed in Western culture, there are certain feminist women's movement ideals that can be extrapolated from her experiences. And it can render a woman susceptible to be, how should I say, brainwashed by said culture. To a point where women don't, even though feminist movement is an equality movement, it has now become a superiority movement, where women consider themselves of such a high standard, even though they're really just about ordinary, that they won't tolerate anything from any man, and they basically price themselves out of any sort of dating marriage market. And at home, they tend to see this is where the problems in terms of head of household happens. It becomes a tug of war, and that leads to really much divorce. And that's why you have these 50% divorce rates, where in most patriarchal countries those divorce rates are way down, way down. I don't see it tipping over 20%. Here it's 50%, if not more. And I believe it's because women are seen to do their own things outside of the household, and they aren't willing to go. They aren't willing to listen to men. Period. That's totally off limits. And we are at a stage now where women from traditional societies are indeed taking advantage and taking the men who accept a submissive woman like catnip, because they never experienced such things, especially black men who for the most part have only dealt with confrontational women. The same thing can be said about Western society, but especially black men, yes, that's indeed the case.
You kind of, I think, touched a nerve, but then at the same time, I think that you were able to back it up a lot more because you married. And you've been married. I'm not sure exactly how long have you been married?
15 years.
Wow. So you've been married for 15 years. Okay.
Yeah.
So you've been married 15 years, and it's to a black guy, right?
Yes.
All right. How did you guys meet?
Yes, that was the time when I was in America. We met through a mutual friend. And I'm going to be honest with you, and I always say that when I'm on somebody's lives, when I saw him, I just knew exactly that's the man that I wanted. I didn't know what kind of car he drives. I didn't know what he does for work. Does he even work? I didn't care about any of that. I just saw the whole package, and I was like, okay, that's my guy right there. I knew right then and there. And I was 18 at the time, so I was in my prime, right? And when I was in America, I really wasn't my looks, but the confirmation I got from all men it was crazy. But all of that didn't matter. So I was not trying to be in the streets or anything like that. So I got introduced to my husband, and I just knew that I had to, put all of my talents on display as far as being feminine and, doing all of these things for him, even at the age of 18, because I knew that's the guy that I want to spend the rest of my life with. And I guess it worked.
Stop there. Interesting that she said when she was in her prime at 18. Ladies, we told you this for years. Your prime years aren't when you hit, to certain women, listen, it's all women. I'll say that wholeheartedly. Your prime years are when you are within the 18 to 24-year-old range. Those are your prime years. Those are the years where your youth, beauty, and fertility are all at their peaks. So therefore, men would, take you more seriously. They would vie for your attention, curry your favor, do whatever it took if you were fit, feminine, friendly, cooperative, submissive to wife you up. That's why a lot of college girls, that's where they get wiped up at, in college, while they're in their sexual peak and prime, while they're in their fertile peak and prime, where it's no problems having children. So her black men realize, oh, I got a submissive woman at 18? Are you kidding me? When it's usually their hoe phase. Or the age of exploration. The age of discovery. What men call a hoe phase. She realized that she had to knuckle down. She realized that, hey, I've got the inside track in terms of being a traditional Turkish woman. Let me work my wiles on him. And lo and behold, 15-year marriage. because she was taught how to be a lady with her man from early on. She had a PhD in it. Where a lot of Western women, a lot of black women in particular, have only gone to high school. So there's a price to be paid for that.
So okay, so that's pretty awesome because that adds additional context, to the conversation. All right, so let me ask you another question, and then I want to deep dive back into the current because I want to kind of address a lot of the pushback that you've been getting. Right. So you met him when you was 18, and you decided that that's the guy that you wanted to be with. How did you guys end up back in Germany?
Mm-hmm. So, of course, I came back to Germany at some point. I came back from America.
And just before she gets into this, let me say this. It's not as if you can't find such a lady at any age. You can't find a woman who's fit, feminine, friendly, cooperative, submissive at any age. I am dating a woman like that right now. And believe me, especially the black community, they're hard to find. But once you have them, you better hold on to them. Once you have them, you should hold on to them. Because they're few and far between. And she actually pursued me. But I recognize the good, and most women recognize when they have a good woman. And they are not willing to give it up. They're willing to, they'll protect their lives. They'll use their lives to protect that woman. And that's the great thing about it, especially a woman like Suerreyya. She may be Turkish, but guess what? Many men, especially black men, who she is into, would flock to her because she knows how to treat her man. My girlfriend knows how to treat her man.
To Germany, and it was a long distance relationship for about a year. And then I invited him over here to Germany, and that was his first flight overseas. And I wanted to show him that I appreciate him even taking the step, leaving his country, coming to see me. So what I basically did, which a lot of women don't like also, I showed him around, I chauffeured him around. He didn't have to pay for anything. I made sure I show him everything about my country, like all of the tourist attraction and all of that, introduce him to my family, try to make him as comfortable as possible, because my goal was trying to bring that man over here because I wasn't ready to live in America, So I was like, okay, I got to make sure I'm going to impress this man. And he loved it. He loved the experience, had to obviously go back to America for a bit before he actually came to Germany to live here. That's how he ended up in Germany.
Stop there! Do we understand what we're seeing here, people? It wasn't incumbent on the man to impress the lady. It was incumbent on her to impress the man. A lot of people don't get that. A lot of Western women don't get that. Especially black women, they don't get that. My girlfriend gets that. However, the majority don't. And they think it's for the man to jump through hoops in order to get the lady. No! Not if you really want that guy. It's up to you to jump through hoops to get that man. She wanted her man to stay in Germany, so therefore she pulled out all the stops. She paid for all the outings. She drove him around. She let him discover Germany and really tried to sell the place to him. You know who also did that? My girlfriend's doing that right now. She's trying to show me all the places. Now, again, I'm not going to tell you where she lives, but she's trying to show me all the places. She's trying to show me advantages. She's trying to entice me to go to her. And that's how, well, though the non-traditional route, to be fair, but that is indeed a great way to show your man you care and give him incentives to stay.
I'm gonna jump back and forth because I like to kind of do it on that interview style. When you look at the amount of feedback,
we're going to be right back for part 2 of the show. Let me just stop that here. We're going to be back for part 2 of the show, so do stay with us. We're going into the second hour here on Talk Talk Live. Yes, I owe you that, and we're going to get into that here on Talk Talk Live. So do stay with us. We'll be right back. I'll be continuing here on YouTube. Talk soon. Peace.
Viral. When you compare how much negative feedback that you've gotten versus how much positive feedback that you've gotten, what would you say the ratio is? Is it 50-50? Is it 75-25, one way or the other? What do you say? What do you think that the ratio of negative or positive feedback is to your viral comment?
Are you going to divide it between men and women?
Nope. We're not going to divide it. Not yet.
We're back on Talk Talk Live. We're still talking with Suerreyya Brooks and her interview with Antonio McDaniels. And yes, it's a very fascinating conversation here with Suerreyya Brooks. So again, stay tight, hold tight. We're going to continue with this. Just listen in.
Not yet.
Okay, well then I would say it's most definitely 60% of positivity and 40% negativity.
Okay, so when you then divide it between men and women, what do you think that it is?
80% negativity from women, most definitely, and then 20% positivity, I guess.
Why do you think that that is? Why do you think that women have reacted so strongly and coming out against you and not liking what was said in the video?
I believe it's, for one, the caption of the video that got them upset because they really didn't listen to what I said. I never said what the caption said to begin with. And then they don't like to see that somebody outside of America treats an average black man good and talks about it and speaks about it, when I'm really just trying to, set an example for how a woman can use her true femininity, to be a better person herself and be better for the man that she's with or she wants to be with. They just don't like that. If I would have made a video about how trashy he is, how he's like this, how he's like that, maybe they would have liked that a lot more, but they just don't like to see a man being treated well who's average. And I stand for, I don't expect my man to pay for anything. I don't expect him to pay for hundreds of dollars for our date. We've been married for 15 years and we still haven't been on a date that costs hundreds and hundreds of dollars because it just doesn't make any sense. So me sitting there and just doing all of these things for him, not expecting anything in return, I guess is what rubbed them the wrong way. And me sitting there acting like I'm better than somebody else is probably another reason for all the negativity. And I heard a lot of women saying, who the F do I think I am, that I'm speaking against black women, which I didn't. And that's not my intention. Even if I wanted to, I don't think they would like that. So, but that's not what I stand for. So I'm really speaking to all women out there. And as I said, the only reason why I talked about Black American Family Unit is because I've seen it in America. So, and they're mad because I'm right. They know I'm
All right. So let me.
And she is right. Again, she is correct. She knew that her training would eventually win out because a lot of black women aren't trained to be submissive to their men, to be cooperative with their men, to see the men as being head of the household. A lot of black women see themselves as being the head of the household, and they're not willing to give it up, and their attitudes will let them give it up. Won't let them give it up. They don't realize that with giving up the head of the household, it means your children thrive, you thrive, the whole family thrives. But you want to be single and independent, fine. Totally fine. You're going to end up alone, and you end up hurting your family. You end up ruining generational wealth. You end up suffering from one of the social ills of society by doing that, but hey, you're free to do it. Put us all in jeopardy, why don't you? You're free to do it. Absolutely absolutely ridiculous. And the fact of the matter is, this woman, all she had to do was literally be herself. while other Western women, especially black women, need to have this training drilled into them before they even think about thinking like this. She's in a successful marriage. What are they doing? Nothing.
Ask you another question. Because, when I look at guys with passports a lot of times, and I've traveled outside of the country and stuff like that, right? But when I look at guys with passports, the first thing that I see are white men with passports before I start to see black guys with passports or military guys, right? Because white guys have been traveling the world and dating outside of the country for a long time, way before it started to become a thing with passport bros on social media, right? But in a general sense, I want to talk about black men. How are black men viewed in Germany? From your lens or based off of what you think is a cultural norm over there, when they experience foreigners, and then I want you to also kind of, if you can, speak to other nationalities or other races of men. How are black men viewed in Germany? And is it looked down upon to actually date or marry outside of your race?
American black men, I'm going to say, are viewed, they're very desired over here. Very desired. I mean, as you said, white men have...
Stop for a second. Have a few comments here on the other side. Thank you very much to my YouTube viewers here. Doing a great job. Thank you so much. This sounds like more American black women than African or Caribbean black women. Thank you very much, Lana BK, for that. I didn't catch that earlier on. Yes, I would say this is more a North American, Western European black women issue. So those from the United States, those from Canada, those from the UK, those from Western Europe. It's very much an issue with them. Not so much an issue from those from the Caribbean and those from Africa, which tend to be more traditional. Absolutely right. Well said there, Lana BK. Thank you very much for the comment. Just wanted to get to those YouTube comments there. We'll go back into the mix right now. And she was wanting to speak on why black men are seen as so in demand from outside the United States, from outside the Western diaspora. Let's continue.
Doing it for centuries, but nobody really cared about it until the American black men started doing this. So every black man that I know here, or even there in my comment section under my videos, they just saying every time they were here in Germany, they had the time of their lives, especially men from military, soldiers. Some of them are still here, on these American army bases, and they just love it. And I'm going to tell you, I have experienced women who left their marriage to go be with a black American guy. I have seen families break up. I'm not saying that is a good thing. I'm just trying to show you how far women are actually going in order to be with a black man. And it is not to get a green card. There are a lot more benefits here in Germany compared to what, in America. So as far as American men, very desired here. Most definitely.
Is it looked down upon to date outside of your race, or is it a pretty open opportunity for all, and it's not? Because I'm gonna just tell you, like here, I'm looking at a guy, for example, right now. They say, Anton, you're not FBA. Dummies. I'm not even gonna entertain it. But I know that here, amongst black people in particular, and I can't necessarily speak for other cultures, but I know that amongst black people in particular, it's a big deal. Still, not as much, but it's still a big deal, especially amongst black women. And black men that then feel like we should be race loyal. It's a huge deal as far as making sure that you stay within your race, or, they feel like if you have resources or you are a successful black man in particular, that you are supposed to keep all of your, you're supposed to marry within. Whereas you saying is basically a global competition, and you get in where you fit in, and it's an opportunity because black men are incredibly desired. And they're treated better overseas, or in Germany in particular, than they are here in the United States of America. Is it a big...
Germany, Eastern... Listen, I've been to these places, and I can tell you one thing. It is the absolute truth. It is the truth. Black men are treated with way more value in these countries, especially in South America, especially in Western Europe. especially in Asia, especially in Eastern Europe. Absolutely the case. Because pop culture is such that black men dominate it. And with that, women will want to be with them. As in this case with Suerreyya. Yes. Yes, yes, yes. And as she's about, I think she's going to go into, you'll see how much value they treat their men, with which they treat black men, in particular from the African diaspora.
Big thing marrying outside of your race, or is it not that big of a deal?
It depends on what kind of woman you end up with, you know. As far as Turkish people, it can be a challenge, but luckily in my case, it wasn't, because my parents said, as long as this man's love you, he's welcome to our family. You know, you have that too a lot. But overall, families by now are kind of open-minded. They really don't care much, you know. Of course, that's with a Russian woman or a woman who's from Poland, that may be a little bit more difficult because they are very, very traditional and love to
Eastern
keep to themselves, you know. But as far as everybody else, open-minded compared to what it was before, most definitely.
What about, what would you say to, okay, let me ask you a question before I even ask that question. Is it majority black women that are coming for you based off of what they interpreted the video or the clip to be? Is it majority black women, or is it just American women based off of the cultural norms that you address inside of the video?
It's black women. I mean, I had death threats, you know. When my husband was on his Instagram a little bit more active and I would tag him here and there in my posts, they would send him nudes and all of these crazy things, you know, trying to break up a relationship. I don't know what their goal was.
Wait. They would send your husband nudes?
Yes.
Black women?
Yeah.
And how do you feel about that?
It's typical. I mean, I was not shocked. I was like, of course, when I talk about certain things, you know, me being me, they're not going to like it and they're going to react to it, you know. But even though I'm trying to give some advice, they're going to behave like that, which proves my point. So I don't even know why they hate it so much. Like,
do you think that they're coachable? And obviously that's a small.
Before he answers that, that is par for the course. Once you're single, you're treated like a nobody. But once you get a woman, especially a woman who's outside of the race, you're treated as somebody. Listen, and a lot of pickup artists know this. A lot of Chaz and Tyrones know this. Once you have a woman on your arm, more women come your way. They just fall at your lap. It's all these different opportunities seem to pop right out of nowhere. And it's true, I heard Myron from Fresh and Fit, and I know a lot of people are fans of Myron, but he makes this to be true, and I believe it. When studying chimps, when a single chimp enters an enclosure of chimps, they see him as a second-class citizen, as a nobody, and he is disregarded. When a male and female chimp enter the enclosure, that male chimp is being doted on by all the other female chimps, simply because this chimp must know something about women. And in this instance, he knows something about white women. He knows something about Turkish women. So therefore, you're going to get a lot of ladies throwing news at you because you seem to have conquered, for lack of a better word. You seem to have satiated. That's better. You seem to have satiated one woman. You can satiate many women. That's why you get a lot of men having many kids, because if you can get one, you can get many. It is indeed the prosperity mindset. Sorry about that. It's a prosperity mindset that once you have one, you can have many. And it doesn't stop there. Especially when you have a good man. A good man has many women. Take it from me. Let's continue.
I'm assuming that's a small minority of women, right? But do you think that they're coachable and that they can then evolve to actually be able to compete for the men that they want, especially considering that black men worldwide and especially in Germany are highly sought after, especially if you're successful? Do you think that they could evolve to actually be better women, or do you think that the majority of them, based off of the cultural norms that we have in the United States of America, are too liberal and that they can't evolve and that they'll just be alone forever?
No, and before she gets into her answer, let this be said. A lot of black women don't understand how the hell these black men are able to attract all these different type of women. They see it as some anomaly, as something totally out of the ordinary. That's something that shouldn't be. How are these black men that we consider second class citizens, that we denigrate to no end, that we insult, put down, see as second class citizens, how are these guys able to survive and thrive in different parts of the world? Because I'll tell you what, 9 times out of 10, if a mixed race baby comes from some part of the world, be it Western Europe or Asia or South America or something, a black man was the one who did the deed. You know it, I know it, God's greenness knows it. So it usually comes to a shock to black women how we're able to go around the world and do what we do. But again, let's hear Suerreyya's answer to this.
They're too liberal. They will never. You can tell them nothing. You can't tell them nothing. They will not listen. They're saying all of these things, such as, I want my man to protect me. I want my man to provide for me. But all they think about is those dollars. Nobody is thinking about anything else. What happened to knowledge? What happened to guidance? You know what I mean? What happened to your man sitting you down, telling you about yourself, about you being too emotional? You can't have these conversations with these liberal women nowadays. You can't tell them nothing. So no, you cannot, what did you say? They're not culturable? In my opinion, they're not. Too proud, their ego is too big, they're too independent. And instead of listening to a man, an average man, I always put an emphasis on average man because that's what the majority of us are. You'll be like, go ahead, take your passport and just leave. We don't want you anyway.
Wow! No true words have been said. Black women are, Western women in general, black women in particular, are uncoachable. Let that sink in. Unless you're earning a certain amount of money, unless you have a certain status, unless you have a certain wit, unless you have a certain amount of intelligence, unless you look right, dress right, unless you're tall enough, unless you have enough muscle, black women in particular won't listen to an average man. And they are left to suffer the consequences. So they are left as not only those who are deemed invisible, but those who are deemed ridiculed. Black women are uncoachable. She said it herself. That's a whole other show altogether, how they're uncoachable. And until they get coachable, a lot more of these women are going to be alone. They're just going to be alone. Well, a Turkish lady here has been married 15 years. Make that make sense.
Do you think that more men should get outside of the United States of America and open up their options to the possibility of marrying outside of the United States of America?
I mean, why not? The world is a big place. There are places where women like American men. Just try. I mean, even if you don't find somebody, you can at least see a different culture. I mean, a lot of people don't even travel. But Germany is another place that men most definitely should visit, for sure.
How are women in Germany, right? And let me ask you what could possibly be a tough question, but I think that it's a fair question considering, right? Because what a lot of women probably are saying, and I've seen some of the videos in reaction to you, what a lot of women are saying is that she shouldn't even be speaking about black women, or maybe she feared black women or something like that, right? Here's my question to you. My first question is, why not marry a man from Germany? Like, why marry a black man from America?
It's the I guess it's the style, most definitely. It's exotic, for sure. You know, I would say, how can I say this without sounding too thirsty?
No, I mean, just say what you really think.
They just look better. I mean, if you meet a woman like myself over here who's absolutely into black American guys, they're gonna just say they look better. We like their vibe. We like the way they dress. You know, we like the accent. We like the way they talk, walk, and you know, just these simple things. You can just be yourself, and you just blow everybody's mind over here. You don't have to pull up with your Porsche and you know flash your dollars. It's not necessary. You have average American guys over here. They got women legit tens. I'm telling you, I was walking around with a content creator yesterday. We were in Cologne. That man, I introduced him to a few places. He couldn't believe his eyes. He had to interrupt what he was talking about from looking at these women, and he had his hand in his face all the time because he couldn't believe how pretty they were. You know? And like on an average Saturday afternoon, walking around to shop around stores. So,
can women there also?
Yes. Are you getting this? Are you picking up what I'm putting down here? Again, this is a show about Suerreyya Brooks teaching Western women about how they should operate amongst their own men. With black women being seen as a particular audience because she married a black man herself. So automatically she became an object of acrimony and hate. But I have seen it myself. I lived in Europe for 7 years. And let me say this. A black man from this side of the world is revered. Revered. Anyhow you have an American accent, and you have a Canadian accent, they see you as nicer as being Canadian. But anyhow, you have any sort of North American way of being, way of carrying yourself, you automatically shift to the top tier. It's an old saying, you're never a king in your own country. Never a king. And that is no truer said than when you're in Europe. The amount of mixed race babies in England in particular, Europe in general, will blow your mind. A black man can always have a home in Europe. I'll say it again. Always. Black women, they can. Western women, they can. But it's going to be a transition for a lot of men because a lot of their men don't realize that what they already have at home is the better option. Lucky for me, I managed to find a fit, feminine, friendly, cooperative, submissive woman right here. I couldn't believe my luck. But most men aren't that lucky. And if they have to travel, let them travel. And if you don't heed the warnings of this woman, Suerreyya Brooks, ladies, let me say this. It's your own fault, and you're left to your own devices, and you must suffer the consequences of your choices. I can't make it clearer or plainer than that.
Tell, because I like to say that, now you know you basically about to have all of these guys running over and getting their passports, right? That don't have a passport. But do women also, because I think that a lot of times, one criticism that I have for guys that get their passport is that they think a lot of times that, and this is not just for black men and men in general, is that some of them think that just because they go overseas, and you can correct me, just because they go overseas and they're dealing with a different type of woman, or a woman that's not American, that changes who they are or what it is that they represent when they were here in America. Now, I understand that there are some hyenas there, and there are some women out here that's just absolutely horrible when it comes to a normal, everyday guy
Shout out Christian
getting into a
Crimson
relationship
Cure.
with him. He probably has no chance, and it's probably going to be a bad experience for him. However, my question then becomes, can women tell men that are green? And when I say green, they don't know any better, possibly can get taken advantage of. Can women there also spot a man that is probably going to be easily taken advantage of, or do they just in general treat men better over where you at?
They overall treat men better over where I'm at. I'm not going to say that all of them are the same, but 90% most definitely. I mean, I'm talking about just in the beginning of the dating period, you got the woman cooking for you, invites you over. Let me cook something for you. You know, is there anything that I can do for you? You know, you got a man coming from another country. Of course, you want to make sure he's okay. And all of these women who are into American men that have the same type of mindset. You know, just like I did back in the day when I showed my husband all of these places because I was trying to impress him. They do the same thing. I did a couple of years back, but the mindset is still, you know, it's still today. It's going on. Like women still do that today. So nothing really has changed.
That's pretty insane.
That is insane. But it's commonplace over there. You know why? Because all these women were raised with male role models in the home, with male heads of families and their wives taught their children, their daughters, how to cater to a man. Not just for special occasions, every day. And that's why I say, if you, not to say that this is the rule. Well, I would say this is the rule, rather than the exception, but definitely the rule. If you have a woman in your life whose father played a prominent role in her upbringing, consider her seriously. Even if she was raised in a feminist sort of milieu, still consider it seriously. If she holds her father in high regard, consider her seriously. Vet her seriously. Because she's probably a keeper. The woman in my life right now, her father's an integral part of her life. She's fit, feminine, friendly, cooperative, submissive. Go figure. Chances are, if they were raised in a more or less single mother household, she'll tend to be. Now, things can go wrong, and a man can, raise her daughter to be a little more aggressive, a little more masculine. But for the most part, they'll tend to raise them in a more or less feminine way. But when you're in a single mother home, they tend to be a little more masculine. They tend to take on a few more masculine tendencies, and that can be a problem. That's where you get that lady earlier on saying that, oh, well, I only do a certain amount of cooking, I only do a certain amount of cleaning. Oh, great, and I gotta do some cleaning. I'll do a certain amount of cooking, I'll do a certain amount of cleaning, but again, I'll still take care of my man. That's cool, but she won't go all the way, simply because there was a certain feminist mindset that went into that upbringing, and that has affected her negatively. So you have to watch out for that. But let's continue this while I clean this up.
If you had to look at other men, right? Because you said that black men is highly desired overseas and stuff like that. Outside of black men, do they look at men that come over from overseas the same way, in a sense? Meaning that they would prefer to date men outside of their norm? And whether it's white men, whether it's Asian men, Latino men, Hispanic, whatever, do women prefer to date men that's from America in general? Or is it just black men more than other cultures and other races?
As black men more than other cultures and other races.
Really?
100%, yes. I mean, it even gets to a point, a lot of women don't have access to American men over here, right? So you got a lot of African men running around. So they just, want the black man, so they go with an African man. But the moment an American man steps into the room, all of the attention goes towards him. So, I mean, it's like this. Let me give you an example. We used to go out back in the days, and these basketball players, the average guys, still average. They were not no NBA or anything like that. Average guys playing in Cologne, and we would go to these clubs. And the moment these guys would step into the club, you would have all these women just running over there trying to get their attention, so they can spark up conversations, and a lot of them just ended up being in a relationship. A lot of them even stayed here in Germany, and they're still here today. So yes, they're very, very desired here.
How have you managed to stay married for 15 plus?
Truth! When I was living in England, even though I was Canadian, when I was living in England, the way I walked, the way I talked, was a bit different. Made me stand out. You get some easy play. It's true. You get easy play. And when I was traveling, when I went to Paris, when I went to Berlin, when I went to Amsterdam, they realized I had more of an American accent, and they knew, well, I was from that part of the world. Yeah. More play. Especially if you're a black man. Way more play. Yes. Because, I mean, you can get a Latino man, you can get an Asian man from this certain part of the world, but there's certain, sorry to toot my own horn here, and I'm getting off topic, yes, but there's certain type of man, a black man, especially in that section of the world, in Europe, in Asia, in South America, once they realize that, they're automatically attracted. You hold court, as they say. It's the truth.
Years, because I've watched a few of your videos. I always like to understand the people a little bit more, even though I'm letting them tell their story. And you said, it's ups and downs, just like any other normal relationship. It's highs and lows. It's money. It's not money. It's, you evolve and you grow together, right? How have you managed to stay married for 15 years where it seems like divorce is kind of celebrated and championed here over in American culture?
Well, for one, I see my elder, like my parents, for instance, or my grandparents, I see what they do in their relationship. So I know my role as a woman, so does my husband. And what you have to do, most definitely, is you have to accept the person for who he is, not for what he brings as far as material or anything like that. You have to leave all that to the side. You have to be disciplined. You can't be looking for attention elsewhere, even when you have like downs in a relationship, You still got to work on your relationship instead of stepping out of your relationship just because you feel as though your husband is not paying attention to you or not as much.
Stop right there. Pick up that knowledge that she is dropping. She literally said, just because there are troubles in your relationship does not give you reason to look for attention and adulation outside of the relationship. Get on your Instagram, get on your TikTok, get on your other things and look for other men's attention. That is such a problem with Western women. Huge problem. If things start going wrong, they start looking around for pastures new. And she came from a traditional household, so she knows how to handle conflict when it arises. You keep it in house. You work it out together. You make sure that things don't get left undone. You don't seek outside help. It gets done in house. Ladies, pick that up. You don't ask your friend. You don't ask your personal trainer. You don't ask your male friend. You don't ask your girlfriend. You don't do, especially your single girlfriends. You don't ask them either. You go to your man and say, listen, how are we going to work things out? How can we get things done? Let's work it out together. And you don't seek answers from social media. Perfect answer. She mixes the traditional with the modern. Excellent answer. I hope women pick up that message. And listen, subscribe to Suerreyya Brooks. I'm going to show you her website when we're done here. She has wonderful content, a lot of knowledge, a lot of facts that she is dropping. And you ladies need to have a listen to her. She's been able to have a successful marriage for 15 years. She must be doing something right.
As he used to. And it's an ongoing process, you know. You got to acknowledge the positive things about your partner, because I noticed that a lot of women, they acknowledge the negative about their partner.
Did I say Suerreyya Williams? I'm sorry, I meant Suerreyya Brooks. I mixed the two up. I don't know how, but I did.
And they, continue on, making that person feel bad. And you have to care about that person. And as far as my experience, after a few years of dating and especially being married, my husband's mental well-being, his physical well-being, emotional well-being became mine, So I'm doing everything in order for that man to be comfortable as possible. Changed his diet, I started, he was kind of introvert in the beginning because, he was not familiar speaking about his emotions, his thoughts and stuff like that. That was kind of new to him. But when he started opening up to me, I knew he's emotionally connected with me, and I just try to keep it on that level and just continue on going on from there. So when he does open up to me, it just feels amazing. And I think being there for one another when you have downs is more important than having a great time, and that's what creates a stronger bond. And then the years just go past like this, and 15 years are over and we're still married. So yeah, and of course he does his part too. So the marriage is not ongoing because I'm doing the best that I'm doing.
Right. How does he feel about all of these women that's coming for you? Or when he starts to get all of these news inside of his DMs just because women want to then break up your relationship or something how does he feel about all of the backlash that you get from women? Saying that you wrong, or they think that you're wrong, or that they absolutely can't compete and stuff like that.
Mm-hmm. Well, he first of all says, don't let the negativity get to your head. He says that at first. And then he says it's typical. Of course, he's not surprised. And he always says they don't want me to start talking. Because, him having experiences, obviously, with some black women as he was dating. He's like, they better be lucky that I'm not out here on social media saying what I have to say, because they wouldn't like that at all. So he's not surprised because he is used to certain type of reactions from women, like I said, from his dating phase. So he's like typical, proves our point over and over again. You can't tell him nothing.
Let me stop this for a second just to make sure that I do it.
Thank you very much, Anton Daniels, for that. I just wanted you to hear her point of view on things. Wonderful, wonderful, wonderful interview she had with Suerreyya Brooks. Fantastic. Listen, shout out to Anton Daniels. Subscribe to Anton Daniels. Doing wonderful things in the YouTube streets. And totally warranted here. But I want you, finally, as we get to this, let me see how much time we got here. Okay, great. Perfect. We're right on time. So let's just get on to the difference between... I went to Suerreyya Brooks' website. Please subscribe to Suerreyya Brooks. She's doing wonderful things in the YouTube streets. I'll shout out her post in just a bit. But I noticed this 11-minute interview that I think has been highlighted on a lot of the posts, including Chisha Zed tonight. And it's the difference between a modern Western woman and a traditional woman living in a modern society. Excellent interview. I wanted you to see this, and then we'll wrap up here on Talk Live. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Subscribe to Suerreyya Brooks. She is doing wonderful things in these YouTube streets, telling people facts, whether they like it or not. And you gotta love it. Because, listen, she has a successful marriage, a successful relationship, and she's doing right, and she's telling no lies, and black women are even saying it on social media. So let's go into this right now. The difference between a modern Western woman and a traditional woman living in a modern society. Thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live. Like, subscribe, comment. We're on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Suerreyya, if you please, my dear. Let me just go back a little further so you can tell us. Well, there you go. That'd be good. So you could tell us what you think about modern Western women.
A modern Western woman follows trending morals and values without thinking about the possible outcomes, consequences, or whether if her behavior is justified or feminine. These women
Now remember, this is not all Western women. There are a few Western women who would follow on to these tenets, and to those, they're the ones who are losing. And to those who don't, those are usually the ones who are winning. They are winning. Especially when it comes to love and relationships with men. Let's get into it.
Money hungry, self-centered, mostly selfish, and they do not have a problem with promoting this type of lifestyle and mindset to other women. Like I said, they don't think about the consequences and the possible outcomes for themselves or for other women. And you're trying to tell me that this is supposed to be women empowerment, but a woman who practices traditional values and morals, she knows exactly not to listen to anyone around her except for those whose marriage is actually long-lasting and functioning. There are ups and downs in every relationship, but at the end of the day, every man will appreciate a woman who knows her role in a relationship. And here's another hint, ladies and gentlemen. You cannot turn your femininity on and off based on the man's income. Enough realistic information so far.
Fantastic! Fantastic! She's listen. She's preaching to the choir, ladies and gentlemen. She's preaching to the choir, and she's saying that if you want to find out about a successful relationship, find out from those who are leading a successful relationship, those who are married, those who've been married for a while. Find out from them, not your single friends. Your single friends are your worst source. The worst source of any advice, because they know nothing of being in a marriage. I keep saying this, single women keep women single. Single women keep women single. R.I.P. Godfather. And no truer words have been said. No truer words have been said. And modern women need to find out about themselves from married participants, but with 50% divorce rate, it's getting harder and harder. So instead of doing that, listen to your man. Listen to what he wants from you and let him be your guide. How about that? If you can't find those who have successful marriages, find a man. If you believe in your man, you love your man, listen to him. He'll guide you. He'll never guide you down the wrong path. Men don't usually leave relationships. Women do. And usually through their single female friends and FOMO, fear of missing out, that lead them to that.
Let's dive into the delusion.
Make him chase you. He has to be the one chasing you. You do not have to text him first. Do not show him that you are interested. Now, I know this is very manipulative, but it works.
And this is where the delusion begins, everybody. You have all these women nowadays all over the internet talking about that the man should chase them, but they fail to explain why a man should be chasing a woman. And I believe it is because they don't know the reason why a man is supposed to chase a woman to begin with. What these women do know is that their tactics is extremely manipulative and they supposedly work. If you have a woman who uses manipulative tactics right in the beginning while you guys are getting to know each other and start dating, just know that this is a trend that's going to continue on throughout the whole relationship, and the only one that's going to lose is you, because you're going to be wasting your time, effort, and energy, and women like that are absolutely not worth it. You gotta leave them alone.
You have to show mixed signals. Now, obviously not mixed signals all the freaking time. This is when you guys are in the talking stage. You should never show a man that you love him. Like, obviously you could show him that you're interested in him as a person, but even if you're in love with him, you're madly in love with him, you want to be with him, he's your dream man, do not show it.
This woman
Before I go on, that's a single woman. You're taking advice from her. A single woman. Not a day of marriage in her life, but yet she's the expert on relationships. A single woman. Make that make sense. Sorry, Suerreyya. Continue.
completely lost me at you have to show the man mixed signals, but not all of the time, and you don't show the man that you love him. Guys, let me translate this to you. If a woman says yes, she may mean no. If a woman says no, she may mean yes. If she doesn't call you, if she doesn't text you, if she acts like a complete bitch and she behaves like she's not interested, that actually may mean that she cares about you, that she loves you. Excuse me. In this case, dear young lady, no matter what a man does, it may be wrong because you are highly confused, don't know what you want, and you damn sure don't know how to express your feelings towards men. Honey, I am a woman and I don't even understand what you want. So how is a man supposed to understand what you expect out of him? And first of all, why is a man supposed to understand what you expect out of him when you are not even willing to communicate your emotions, what you want from him, and how you feel about him? What man in the world feels like putting in all that work? If a woman requires for a man to put in all that work right from the beginning, she's going to be in the expecting position throughout the whole relationship, which goes to show you how lazy these women are. Lazy even in communicating how they feel, because they're always going to be backstabbed. You know what? I'm not saying that bad things can happen in a relationship, but that is life. Even if my husband cheats on me, even if my husband does things to me that I don't agree with, that I don't like the way he treats me, that is life. We can talk about it, we can work things out, or we can just act confusing and be confused right from the beginning just to cause more confusion. You choose.
Men don't respond well to women who are
no, and then she got this girl here too, god damn it. Anyways, she has sprinkle. Lord Jesus Christ. Anyhow, no truer words have been stated. None. Let me get real focused on me now. When she was talking about men cheating and how she handled that, no wonder she's been married 15 years. No wonder. If there's a problem in a relationship, you work it out. But divorce is not an option. Divorce is taken off the table because she realizes the importance of being in a stable relationship with her man. She wouldn't trade that for love nor money. When so many women in this Western society were willing to throw it away like it's some sort of toilet tissue. You can learn a lot from this lady. I don't care about her skin color. The fact of the matter is, she's a smart lady, and she's willing to say sense. Let me tell you something. Candace Owens, I'm not exactly a fan of in terms of her relationship, but one thing I am a fan of her is her message. And I don't care if she was red, black, blue, purple, or pink. She speaks well, and she speaks sense. I'm listening. Same thing with Suerreyya Brooks. She's speaking sense. She knows what she's talking about. She is an expert in her area of love and relationships. Why the hell wouldn't single women respect her and respond to her, even if she's white? It's stunning to me. If a woman's giving you game, and yet you're not taking it because you don't like the color it comes in.
That give too much information and just want to be honest, genuine, and talk about the things that she finds interesting.
This woman right here.
Can't get a man like that, ladies, and I keep trying to tell y'all have been taught wrong. Okay, I've been talking to lots of women, and they've been like, well, I tell them what I do as a profession.
Let me tell you something. If you're listening to Sprinkle and letting her be your leash in love and relationships, you deserve what you get. You deserve what you get. This woman knows nothing. Not one single fingernail of how to dictate love and relationships. She knows about manipulation. She knows about money laundering. She knows about absolute larceny. She knows about how to siphon money out of men. But she is not a counselor on love and relationships. No chance. And if you have ever listened to anything this woman has to say, shame on you. Simply shame on you. God, I wish I could just
on my date, and they seem really interested, but they never called back. Okay. I've been nice to people, but they always seem to, lose interest in me after a while. And also, I try to call and do things and say things that I mean, and I don't try to play games, and it always backfires, and I just don't.
So Shira 7, our favorite sprinkle lady, actually has women calling into her show talking about, I'm being kind, I'm being grateful, I'm doing nice things for the man, but he ghosts me. And she has nothing else better to do than turn around and tell these women, listen, honey, you gotta be a bitch. If he looks better than you, you have to go back to the store and buy new hair. If he is not paying for all of your bills, you have to move on to the next man that has more money. If you are being kind to a man, if you're being generous to a man, if you're being honest to a man, that's not how you get a man. That's not how you keep a man. She's misleading so many young women, and women like her are keeping other women single. Shira 7 has about 800,000 followers on Instagram, and all this woman does is mislead and lead women into complete loneliness. Listen, dear ladies, kindness is never a weakness. Showing a man that you are grateful will only motivate that man to go out there every single day and give you more things that you can be grateful for. Do you really want to know what is considered a weakness? Going with the mass without thinking about possible outcomes and consequences, losing your personality because you pretend that you want to be somebody else, and comparing yourself to others. Those are considered weaknesses. Kindness has never been a weakness, is where I come from. Enough of these toxic women. Let's look at two ladies who know how to practice traditional morals and values living in a modern society as we all do today. One of them is a content.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Before we get to those women, wonderful. This Suerreyya should be the one you listen to, not Shira 7. Sprinkle lady, no. No. You will get no man listening to Shira 7. I can guarantee you that. I can guarantee you that. And if you do, he won't be there for long. Because one thing men know how to do is smell a rat. Unless we're totally simp. But we know how to smell a rat. And that's the rat queen. Okay? Shira 7 is the rat queen. Let that be known. Rat queen. Do not listen to Shira 7. If you're trying to get a man, do not listen to Shira 7. Listen to Suerreyya Brooks. Listen to her. Sound, sagely advice. No two words about it. Let's get to those two experts, shall we? Then we're going to finish up.
Creator. She goes by the name May. She is hilarious, very natural, and you can tell she grew up in a very, very traditional Egyptian household. And the way she just carries herself, her humor, the way she shows her family is just absolutely beautiful to me. You know what? Let's look at it ourselves.
I am not an independent woman. I do not care. Like, I make my own money. I have my own goals, but that doesn't mean I'm independent. Like, I need my man. I need to be like feminine in my relationship. Leave me out of that feminist. I am independent. I am not.
You know, my husband comes, he eats. I pick up his plate when he's done eating. That's something people are so surprised to know. He does not pick up his own plate. For like some of my American friends who see it, they're a little taken aback. Like, can't he pick up his own plate?
I think the American notion of relationships is like equality.
I do push women empowerment, but I'm like, I am not alone. My husband covers this whole situation. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, he covers me. And so if someone breaks in my house in the middle of the night, it's not me getting up.
I'm not going first.
You see how different these women come off.
When things go bump in the night, who you gonna run to? When you need someone to be a provider, who you gonna run to? One who wants to split half the check? Just saying. 2 traditional women, and I can tell you, I'm sure both are Muslim, or one is Muslim, one is Hindi. They get it. They realize that their whole way of life, their whole standard of living is owed in part or in whole to a man. In good part, I'm saying. So why would you think that you are independent as when you're not? They realize that their men are important, their men are needed, their men are loved, and they wouldn't give up that man for love nor money. Especially a single woman with bad advice.
Compared to these women that we were looking at before, you're trying to tell me you would rather deal with these women that we listened to before than being with one of these women? And that is the exact type of energy that I love. I will sit down and have conversation with these women. I will sit down and exchange information with these women. I love that because we are on the same level when it comes to practicing our femininity. When I'm in America with my husband and I pick up his plate, I hear the same sentences like that one girl was talking about. Oh, he's a grown man, he can pick up his plate. I understand, he is a grown man, it is true. He takes care of me, but at the end of the day, what's wrong with me picking up his plate? Oh. It makes him feel more comfortable, it makes me feel more comfortable. Oh. Now, we are not saying, ladies, don't go out there, don't get educated, don't get your job, don't make your money, do all of that, that is fine. But it has nothing to do with the way you treat your man at home or in public. Be feminine, simple. But most of these modern women nowadays, all they want to do is pop their booty, only serve a man in bed instead of a plate of food. They want to control a man, but they don't want to be led by one. And they pretend that they can only be feminine when the man flashes his dollars. Tell me, what is this delusional shit show called? Gentlemen, as you can...
Excellent point. What is this delusional shit show called? Yes, I call bullshit. Yeah, I call bullshit. To all those women in 2050, when 50% of women will be single, you'll learn the lesson too late and realize, you know what? When I was younger, I should have shut the hell up. Realized that I may have had the love of my life in my hands. I threw them away because I didn't have enough dollars at the time. And understand that there's a consequence to be paid for that. Thank goodness my lady stepped in my life. Thank goodness she did. Letting a man realize what a real feminine woman is. I'm not going to show her out here tonight, but if you see her around town, I'm not one to ruin, to show people identities. If you know me, yeah. But I'm a very lucky man. Very, very, very lucky man. And it's because I have not just a great woman, a traditional woman. Yeah. Something that a lot of men could use these days, but a lot of women would not care to give. And it's not through their own fault of their own. They have been indoctrinated in the ways of the feminist, in the ways of the woman, in the ways of the gynocracy, in the ways of the matriarchy, and quite simply, it's in the ways of failure. Because once such ideals are challenged, they crumble under pressure. And that pressure is when things go bump in the night and your family's not around and you're left alone. Who will you cling to? Your single friends?
To see there are still women out here with a golden wifey mindset. You don't have to stay in your environment if you're not content with what's going on around you. Because nowadays, a lot of these women, they are like parasites and they are just looking for a host that they can suck the resources out of. Ladies, do not listen to women who tell you things that just don't feel right to you. I'm just imagining if I am the host of a show and I have a woman calling and telling me that she's doing all of these good things, but the man doesn't acknowledge it. I would say, honey, keep being you, keep doing you, but maybe you're just not that man's cup of tea. That is absolutely fine. That doesn't mean you have to change your attitude and become a bitch. That doesn't mean you have to stop showing your gratitude towards other people. That doesn't mean you have to change your personality or the way you look. Men like their women feminine, men like their women natural. I'm looking around and I see all this ridiculous makeup, all of these costumes that women are wearing. And the bad thing about it is the costumes is not only on the outside, their whole attitude, their whole personality comes off as very, very fake. And gentlemen, please don't lose hope. The world is a big place. You can travel.
Just a second, ladies and gentlemen. We're just going to take a little break here on Instagram, but come on back. We're going to have the final part of the show. It won't be long, I can assure you, but listen, this lady's talking so much sense. I've just let her rip. So come on back in the next couple seconds. Son of a bitch. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Talk Live. We're back here on IG and YouTube. We're just going to finish off what Ms. Suerreyya Brooks had to say, and then we're just going to finish up with a little final thought from myself. A wonderful lady, a lady that is needed to be heard way more than Shira 7, way more than most of these ladies out here talking that talk and doing the silly walk, doing the walk of shame, quite simply. And I'll let her finish up, and then I will have my final say.
You can see the world. There are a lot of beautiful, natural, feminine ladies out there. I'm not saying that this toxic feminism doesn't, affect a lot of women who have a weak mind, but still, amongst 100 weak-minded women, you will still find 10 women who don't act and move like them. So thank you everybody for watching. I hope this video was helpful for you to see the difference between a modern Western woman and a woman who has traditional morals and values living in a westernized world. And please subscribe to my channel if you haven't already. And if you did, welcome on.
Thank you so much to Suerreyya Brooks. Please subscribe to Suerreyya Brooks. Please, ladies, I beg of you, subscribe to Suerreyya Brooks. She is talking so much sense in these YouTube streets. She's doing wonderful work here, a fantastic site. But let me get back to myself here. And thank you very much for joining me here on Talk Live. Just see if there's any further comments. No, we are good. So let me get back to the full cam here. Right. Just a quick word. Is Suerreyya Brooks cooking these westernized women? Absolutely. And lo and behold, thank God she is. Because these girls need it. These girls need a feminine role model such as Suerreyya Brooks out there. And I don't care what color it comes in, she's speaking sense. To black women who are offended, she's probably speaking about you. To Western women she offends, she's probably speaking about you. She's trying to stop you from being single and alone. And believe me, I have many women in my life who've taken the advice from the wrong women and have ended up single. And I will say again, it's the wrong path. There is so much more that could be done with their lives, including listen to Suerreyya Brooks herself. She is doing wonderful things in these YouTube streets, and it is to be heralded. It should be heralded. Sorry. It should be heralded, quite simply. And and I'm so glad that so many black women are starting to understand that, you know what? There is an ounce of truth. There's a whole truckload of truth in what she has to say. And that's who we need to be starting listening to, ladies. I finally listen to certain role models who don't believe in negativity and toxicity and being aggressive and being masculine. It's none of that. You just want your woman to be feminine. You want your woman to be friendly. You want your woman to be cooperative, submissive, and fit. She is all of those things. And she's been doing it for 15 years. And you know what? It would behoove you to look her up, listen to what she has to say, and pick up some tips. Because guess what? Most men out there, 99% of men out there would listen to her and say, yes, she is on the right track. Let that sink in. I endorse her message. She is the real deal. You should be on her channel daily picking up salient pieces of knowledge for yourself, for your life, for your future family, for your relationship/marriage. No word about it. No word about it. Shout out to Suerreyya. I raise a glass to you, my dear. You are... I haven't used this in a while. The feminine woman of the week. Yes, indeed. Outside of my relationship, of course. But thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live on IG and YouTube. We will be back tomorrow, ladies and gentlemen. We're back with another show tomorrow night. Yes, indeed. And then we're going to take a few days break, and then we're starting to work this in a little more regularly, a little more simply. So stay tuned on YouTube, on TikTok, and on Instagram for my upcoming promos, and that is coming soon. And to those who have been asking about the party, listen, if you're on my private page, and you're a friend on my private page, that will be coming out very, very soon. So thank you very much for joining me on Talk Live on IG and YouTube. We're going to end it right here. I said it went about 2 hours. Just going to go and watch this baseball game right now and relax a bit, chill a bit, maybe head to the gym a bit. But here we go, ladies and gentlemen. We're back. We're here. We're alive. Sponsored by Duntalk, DUNTALK.com. Like, subscribe, comment on the road to 1,000 subscribers. Tell a friend to tell a friend. Tell a friend. We are back again here on Talk Live. Thank you very much for joining me tonight. And good night from Toronto. And thank you very much for joining me here on YouTube. We are ending it here on Talk Live. We'll be back again tomorrow night with another episode, with another talking point. And believe me, we have a few talking points going on here. And I'm starting to roll them out now. So look forward to being here more regularly as we roll into the fall and into the winter. And the party season here winds down a bit, of course. But again, thank you very much for joining me here on Talk Live. And look forward to seeing you tomorrow night once again. And thank you for all the